in the top left-hand side, we start off this best of 5 with the Red Protoss player that's been an absolute titan throughout the year in terms of WardiTV events, one of the players that played in pretty much everything. He was our number 2 seed overall all year in terms of WardiTV points played. He cranked up victories across the course of the WardiTV winter and spring seasons. He won events in both of those seasons. He won an event outside of that as well. He got 2nd place in the European League. This guy really did just kill it this year, as it is Sidestorm Gaming's MaxPax in the upper left-hand corner, taking on the Blue Terran in the bottom right. In all the seasons that MaxPax did not win a tournament in the WardiTV system, this guy did. He won in summer, he won the European League, and he was at least top 3 in every other season as well. He's been killing it as well. He was our 3rd overall seed this year with our WardiTV point standings. It is Clem in the bottom right-hand corner. And you know what? He might have been higher too if he just remembered to sign up to some of the Open Cups. There was, I think, at least 2, maybe even 3 times where he messaged me after the first round of our cup finished, and he was like, hey, can I still play? I forgot to sign up. So, yeah, amazing to have these two play. We know how fun these two can be against one another. They bring the absolute best out of each other in PvT. It has been a little bit Clem favored recently. Will that stand in this series as well? Is that what we're going to see, or does MaxPax have some way to get some stuff done? The throw comes in as the SCV goes across the map, and is just going to check up, see that the barracks is in fact there. No proxy or anything to deal with in the first few moments, as a couple of SCVs come down to the low ground. They're just going to be nibbling at that probe, trying to get some damage done. Command center will drop into place as well, so we get that on the go. We get everything ready here. And yeah, we wait to find out what the game plan is here from MaxPax and from Clem. Nexus is halfway done. The Adept and the Warp Gate continue up as well. We'll see. MaxPax loves both the main styles in PvT. He's a big Phoenix player. He's a big Blink player. We know that. I actually think he might lean a bit more towards some of the Phoenix stuff. I do feel as though just in general, Clem has been very good at defending and dealing with a lot of the aggression that we used to see out of MaxPax in the form of the the Blink aggression and the Blink all-ins and so on. So maybe that's something we do not see from him in this one, just because, like I say, maybe Clem is good enough against. He is going to open Twilight. I think what I'm questioning is whether he's going to go 4 gateways or not, because in the past it would always be 4 gateways from MaxPax, but these two played against each other so much. You could see both of them improving as time went by, as they continue to play each other in Open Cup finals and everything. And really just, you get into this and a Twilight Council comes online. Are we going to go 4 gates? Does MaxPax believe he can find a way to break through and deal damage to Clem? Or is he just going to take a couple gates, take an expansion already, and start looking towards those later stages? But Clem is absolutely a beast as well, but so is MaxPax. We know fine well MaxPax can play a strong late game if he needs to. No worries on that one, so we'll see what the choice becomes. Blink starts up. Adept still scouting around in the early harassment and pokes and prods, just trying to see where any openings may be. Firing up, the Orbital Command will take a few more shots of damage. Hellion and a few Marines still coming through here as well. They're going to try and move elsewhere, as we do see. Finally, I think they'll come down here. And we actually lose a couple of SCVs before Clem moves forwards. Now these Adepts going to be shot at. We're going to lose the Hellion. Well, that means you lose a bit of chasing potential on the map, but there's not much else the Hellion can do. Maybe could have dove through for some scouting information at some stage, but don't think all of that is going to be all too important. And that Blink is halfway done. The Nexus and the Robo Facility still building up as well. Marines, the Medevac, and the Siege Tank continue to produce. And we do see the Medevac just popping, so we're going to see this drop across the map. One of mine and a handful of Marines will be the accompaniment to try and get something done in these early stages. So away we go, off up to the top. Now Reaper moving around, the Adept jumps in. The Reaper already taking a decent shot of damage right there. The Blink coming through, that's going to be finished in a moment, and again, it has been that fast at third base. So my question, my query of the early game of, hey, are we actually going to try some 4-game Blinky stuff? Not yet, at the very least. Maybe on a map like Hecate down the line, some of the maps that are a bit more abusable for Blink. But now it's just going to be Blink with the Expand and trying to take advantage on that one. The Stalkers, well, they blink in defensively here. This is bad for Clem because obviously that's a lot of units in that Medevac that just never get out. If that was only a 2 mine drop, it's not so bad because both the mines get out, they burrow, and they at least kind of deny mining time and do what they're meant to do. in this case, that was a complete shutdown. All 6 Marines go down. MaxPax was very ready for it, and Clem absolutely was not ready for MaxPax to be ready for it. So that is going to be Clem losing out, as we do have a couple of additional gateways going down over on the right-hand side. And the Stimpack still coming through. Marine Marauder continue up as well. And these Stalkers still just pressure into the front, ready to maybe hop into the main base, where we're going to see Clem in a little bit of trouble. Because the pressure on the other side of the map has gone down, because he lost that medevac so swiftly, now you're going to see MaxPax is going to be able to, you know, come across the map freely and just apply pressure, and immediately cancels the stim. Now, it wasn't super far along, so it's not the worst loss in the world, but it still is a loss, as Clem needs to try and figure out where his tank wants to be defensively against this to stop any follow-ups from being too much deadlier. This is already getting to the point where MaxPax is having a very good time, so get on top of that, stop him from having a good time ASAP here. The tank's in a good place for now, and he will defend on the low ground easily as the Prism comes up to keep this harassment going with the +1 and the charge accompanying. Remember, this is all very good, especially when MaxPax is playing into that third base so quickly. Across the map, we do have a little cheeky Raven. Auto turret harass gets a couple of probes, so that's going to find some damage for the moment, and a few shots off. I'm going to find its way on the natural as well, where at least 2 more probes go down, and a little bit of damage on the building battery as well, so we'll not get the kill on it or anything, but, you know, brings it a little bit lower, so maybe you can target that next time around. We'll have a little bit of, you know, actual HP damage done to it, so that is fairly impactful. Stalker's still camping out the front, and with Immortal on the way to just buffer up that army a little, we are then going to head into that Robo-Bait as well to really send us into the proper kind of mid-game tech that we're going to work with here as MaxPax. The Stalkers harass on the front just that little. They come over here, we actually find the Observer. Good catch from Clem to be able to knock that one down. Removing that Observer from play just makes the rest of this so much easier as well. As again, our Nexus coming up. Robo-Bait is halfway done. Sim and Combat all coming through right now. The +1 is about to finish as well. The vines go off and a couple of probes go down. The medevac loads back up, peeling back up the left-hand side. Gonna stem forward. Stalker's taking quite a bit of damage, and we just have the Bio still pushing through. The Stalker's getting chased away. Combat Shield coming up. The Concussor Shells coming in. We have this army just, again, being pushed, and this is maybe a weak point where we're not really fully set on the Colossus, but Clem has found his upgrades and is finding himself a chance to get across the map. Well, here comes the Prism to make this a bit more committed from Clem. Now it's more desperate for Clem to get something done, but he is picking Stalkers off as he comes across the map, so he is succeeding in finding damage thus far. We go with a few Zealots defensively now. The Immortal showing up as well. The tank trying to get siege. The force field's obviously making this a bit tougher for Clem, getting these first couple of Widowmine shots off. Is that enough? Tank will now go down. As Clem, I mean, he's killed 6 probes already here, so it's honestly looking pretty okay for him. I'm going to say that he's doing enough right now. So far, I like where he is at. As he's still going to have to pull away with that army, but he did all right there. Now, I guess the main issue is the fact that Clem is not really set up on a third base or anything, right? This is 5 racks, and he is essentially on a big 2 base all-in. So it was an okay start because he didn't lose too much. He lost a tank. He traded out a little bit. There's still work to be done. This is not just a back away and we're done situation. The Zealot's warping in. He actually killed off one quickly as well, so any Zealot you stop before it warps in is a big deal. That Widowmine denied before it can fire. Once again, it's Zealots in the main base. MaxPax can't afford too many warp-ins across the map because I think the defense here really has to be on point again. Denies a Widowmine before anything else can come off of it. You don't see a shot from it at all. Reinforcements from Clem as he needs to kind of dive the Colossi right now. He needs to go. There's no battery on this location, by the way, so if Clem can step forward, these Colossi are in trouble. We're going to shoot down one. He decides that that's where he backs it up, and again, a Widowmine going down without doing too much else. A 20 army supply lead from Clem, but down heavily in workers. He needs to reinforce, but the warp-ins across the map are just slowing him down enough, and again, not a single Widowmine shot has gone off here, and that is a big deal. Without any Widowmines firing, it's really hard to imagine, you know, if even just a couple extra Zealots got cleaned up, imagine the more, you know, the extra dive we could have made on a Colossus or so. Now +2 is very close to finishing, and that could be a big factor here as well. We're going to see another Zealot going down as Clem gets ready to push up this direction and is coming across the map once again. MaxPax on 4 bases. All he has to do is keep on defending. Clem does not have a good follow-up in this game. He's not set up to play a long game. As we dive up, we are going to, I mean, target the Nexus, but the problem is you don't really want to target the Nexus. You actually want to trade with this army because just knocking down one Nexus doesn't do it for you. Trading with the army potentially does. Again, the Colossi in a bit of danger, man. The Prism is super low there. It nearly went down, but it doesn't just yet. We dive. One Colossus goes low, but doesn't fall. It will fall back a little further again. I think Clem is losing too much momentum, though. He is not going to have enough. That is going to be GG, and our first aim of the day is going to go, or not of the day, but of the series is going to go the way of MaxPax. He will find himself the 1-0 lead in this best of 5, as he definitely just got off to a good start. Again, with a fast expansion, he was the player to actually end up, you know, getting in there and still dealing some. In the top left-hand corner, our red Terran player representing Team Liquid, and currently down 1 map in this best of 5. It is going to be Clem. On the bottom right side, our blue Protoss representing Psystorm. This is MaxPax. Ultaramus, thank you so much for the 7-month resub. Welcome back as well. Much appreciated. We're doing great. Thank you so much for supporting. As the gateway goes down, the barracks is going to follow the gas very shortly. Let me get this underway. I ordered a new mouse, by the way, so my own zoom will work. So I still can't zoom in unless I use the keyboard, so don't worry. Tomorrow, my zoom should be back, guys. Oh, probe in the SCV coming around a little bit. Gateway still coming online. Just I'll set up for a few moments and look to see. We'll see where we go very shortly. As a few probes come across, and there's going to be the engineering bay block found immediately. So we shut that down. And yeah, I mean, obviously, if you can just shut this down quickly, it means you can actually take your natural. You don't have to take the third location. Bring that Cybercore through. Again, Nexus will build on location, which is nice. Like I say, you don't have to worry about that being out on the third base, which is oftentimes what you try and force with the engineering bay block as well. So yeah, you had to pull some pros, but the Terran also invested a little bit as well. As our factory comes through, the reactor getting set, and we just have the warp gate coming through from MaxPax. So Clem's just going to go for this kind of factory before expansion. He does typically love this in TvP. It allows him to be aggressive, allows him to be a little bit safe. I think just in general, he really appreciates having those kind of options to him. Safe, you know, with a bit of harassment on his side, lets him get set up into the early stages of the game without fear. And especially against someone like MaxPax, who's so good aggressively, who's so good at finding different ways to, you know, take advantage, to get in, to take a fight, etc. It's really good to actually come through here and to, you know, open in such a way that shuts down a lot of that. So when Dev continues to the upper left, we do have the starport out in the center. Clem is going to do the Clem Classic, which is a little bit of proxy starport action, which means that he's probably going to try and Hellion drop. As you can see, the Hellion's obviously being made as well. As a pretty good telltale sign of that one. But yes, it is very much so one of those plays that you see Clem go for a lot. He loves this build. It's almost not a Clem TvP best of 5 if he doesn't do it at least one time, and he's just so good at finding damage with it. Finding so many different corners. It's kind of like, you know, Clem's version of MaxPax's 4-gate blink, right? Where MaxPax can do this so repeatedly, and because he's so good at it, well, Clem can do the Hellion drop so good because he's so well that he can do it repeatedly. Even if you somewhat expect it ahead of time, he can often still find the openings and still find the damage needed to put himself in a good position from that setup. So, let's see what happens. There's a couple of structures built at the front that's going to deny the run-in with the Hellions. The full wall set up means your units can defend in the main base instead. And we're going to see Clem is actually maybe going to drop on the corner here. One Stalker now joined by a second. Losing the Adept across the map is obviously a little bit of a DPS loss, and the probes on the low ground will be exposed as the units are just not nearby. So we are going to find 4 workers initially, and we are going to keep on going for 5, and now you load up into the main base, and this is what it takes. You have 1 opening, and suddenly it's many openings. That's why Clem is so good at this build. 8 workers now go down. We still have 3 Hellions. We're still one-shotting as the probes get stuck on the Stalkers for a few moments. Lining up a little bit. We will try and do a little bit of cute micro at the end as well. Back to the low ground. Maybe even another probe or so to be had. Even still, as 14 probes have fallen, and Clem is extremely successful in his early attack. And that is going to put Clem into a great position here in game number 2. As Blink comes up from MaxPax, I mean, any Stalker play is going to be extremely weakened because you've just not got the economy. It's not just 14 probes killed. We saw multiple times for a long period probes off mineral lines, pulling away from those Hellions, so the mining was disrupted heavily. Again, all these factors add up in favor of Clem, and he is looking great then in this game number 2. Potentially try and tie up this series, and that's what I mean. Even when MaxPax with the Adept going into the main, he saw the Hellions, probably assumes at some point Clem does this in the series. It still wasn't enough, because once the Hellions get unloaded, it's just so tough to stop them. When Clem is in control of them, it really becomes very difficult, much more difficult than you expect, honestly. It really does. Well, one Adept across the map. Cyclone defense is going to be good. We've got Raven and a tank coming through, so Clem looking very good there as well. Nexus still halfway by. A couple more probes are coming up. And again, our Cyclones and our Marines will regather as they move on to the middle of the map. Stalker's still coming around. Again, the charge coming through. Forge on the Nexus coming up. Couple more probes coming in. Our Stalkers will get one of those SCVs. Make it 2, make it 3. Looking for 4. Raven coming up as well as we still chase the Stalkers down. And the Stalkers will just recall out of there, so getting away for the moment. Getting the charge on the way here from MaxPax. And did we just... Oh, there's nothing in the back there. I thought it was almost blinking in for the Raven or something, but the way the Observer moved, it looked like they'd seen something I hadn't, but no. The Raven is still very much so at home, so not in a harassing position. As MaxPax is retaking a worker lead, so he's been able to build back up, but again, it's that slowdown. Now Clem's army's already looking great, and the moment Clem pushes with Stim and Combat Shields, it's going to be a tough hold for MaxPax no matter what at this point. Stalker's holding out, and we do have the Raven will make its way around, so obviously any extra work damage right now is going to really make life tough. You see 6 extra gates from MaxPax. His plan is to just surge with a whole ton of gateway units. The more gateway units he can make right now, the happier he is going to be as the auto turret comes down. The probes getting picked away at. And charge coming through, the +1 attack coming in. Prism is about to finish as well. Extra gates in the Robo Bay coming through also. Gonna see our +1 coming about. Again, the combat shield coming through on the side of Clem. We do see a couple Stalkers making their way through the center. Let's see. We really do just want to go with like a ton of gateway units. I think, in this case, I think Clem has enough that actually moving out is fine. But one of the worst things you could do oftentimes in this situation is maybe moving out. I think MaxPax is realizing that though this isn't working, so he's dropped the Robo Bay. Just surprised at how many gates he went to. He went to 8 gates. Now he's going to drop the Robo Bay. I guess maybe he just felt like he needed 8 gates in case Clem was pushing him, so he had a chance of surviving, and now he's just going to try and get to the tech, because he knows he won't kill Clem, he knows he won't get enough units up to do that. So I think it's just an odd option, because he's just trying to make sure he at least gets a chance to play the next stage. As Clem is kind of sitting at home, obviously Clem's being very patient about moving out, he's not rushing into it in any way, shape, or form, so he's just chilling. Starting to move forwards now, and I think he's right to, I mean, at the very least you want to clear out to get to your 3rd base. Is only on 45 workers. We do have obviously MaxPax up at 61, so again you do kind of want to make some use of this Terran army. Clem does not have an upgrade either, right? No engineering bay upgrade in play. Here comes the Prism to try and distract Clem and pull him back, but I think Clem is right to just again head straight across the map. He actually has plenty of Marines here, so dealing with the Prism should not be too much of a problem. As well, first Colossus is on the way. It ain't gonna be done yet though. Oh sorry, no, the first Colossus is out. Like I say, guys, my brain's a bit mushy today after 15 hours yesterday. I'm going to stim it up then, siege a couple of tanks. Clem will take a fairly slow push forward with those tanks. He doesn't need to make everything happen all at once. He's maybe on a little bit of a timer, but I wouldn't say he's like, you know, got a click in right now. I only say he's on a bit of a timer, and it just means that because, again, he's only on 44 workers himself. Stalkers blink on towards the siege tanks here. We are going to spread these units out. The Zealots will try and do the tanking to keep the Colossus alive, but you can see one tank survived this. The Zealots now go down. Clem's going to catch the new Colossus popping out the Robo. The Marauders move towards the Natural, and they will get that kill. Zealots on the flank are going to get rid of the siege tank there as well, and Clem is starting to get cleaned up. Reinforcements are kind of having troubles against these Zealots, and again, Clem is fairly committed as he only had those lower work counts. And he is going to be slowed down for the moment. Maybe enough for MaxPax to actually be standing and fighting at the end of all of this? Yeah, I think so. Obviously, he does have the third CC moving forwards. He just didn't preemptively SCV up to saturate that third base. Big defense from MaxPax. As I think the Zealot's just finding so much as well. And Clem, I really feel like right now is missing the fact that he just doesn't have +1 attack. No? That feels like a misplay from Clem in a pretty huge way. You'll see Stalkers blinking forwards, just chasing down this Bio Force. Medivacs continue to be hunted down. Let's just see our Stalkers and Zealots continue through there. Marauders will continue to take some hits. I'm just going to be seeing our Widowmines dropping in. And I'm just going to go after the rest of these probes. So in they go, more of these probes taking damage. Clem obviously could really do with a big connection right now to help slow his opponent down. And to be fair, when you look at the situation, Clem still has now equal workers. He is still now on an army supply lead. He's building an armory. He did not realize he missed +1, right? Like, he just has not realized that he's not started that. And maybe that would have made a bit of a difference as well, because I feel like he should have had it for that initial push that has then not actually done perhaps what he was and what we were assuming. Now a Ghost Academy coming up. Miss an upgrade. Is wild. There's obviously 3 bases on 3 bases. Protoss not feeling comfortable to get to a 4th just yet. And with worker counts even, I still look at this and I think, okay, yeah, good for Clem, but obviously the reason we are concerned is because it felt like this should have been an easy win for Clem with the way the early game opened up. That's obviously not now been the case. And so now you've got to have some concerns about how this continues through. Ghost for building Vikings. He still has yet to start anything off the engineering bay. And now MaxPax has 1-1 as well, so he's a full set of upgrades ahead. That's only going to help in a lot of these fights. Upgrades can go a long way in this matchup. I mean, this was a matchup that once upon a time was determined on the idea of like double forge, and fast upgrades were like the complete meta because that's just how strong and tanky it makes the Protoss gateway forces when fighting against the Bio. Now that isn't so much of a thing now, but it tells you again just how these units can interact and how important hence the upgrades may be. Bio fight, a couple Stalkers will take some shots. Darktron coming up too, so MaxPax taking this kind of time where he gets to stay alive as a chance to set up into further harassment and further ways to improve his position later into this game. You get that Dark Shrine up. Second robo facilities is going to be able to reproduce the splash units as well. These are all things that will help him out a lot as we progress onwards. Bio taking a moment or so to stop and pick off the rocks, open up the map a little further as well. Zealots are going to counterattack through. There's a bunker in the back there, and a couple of Widowmines are going to start going off and splashing onto those Zealots, so some damage being dealt. Clem pushing at the front, has the EMP Viking combo to try and knock down Colossi. He finally starts the +1 attack upgrade, by the way. Again, just massive mistake to not have that before. Now is we're going to try and take this fight, but with 4 Colossi and the Disruptor, it's going to be difficult. There's just a lot of splash available. Clem doing it right so far. Diving in, getting a bit of damage done, moving back before a lot of those units get the chance to really kind of join in from MaxPax. So at the same time, harassing also with the Raven, still trying to just get a few more workers here and there. Looking for another Colossus, that would be huge. Any Colossus you get rid of in these situations is going to be massive for you, as it's just going to reduce the problems you have on the front lines. Disruptor shot will be a warning shot. It keeps Clem back, but it doesn't exactly hit in a big way or anything. This Clem coming through again, still using these Vikings well. I like what they've been able to do on zoning the Colossi. Colossi have been kept alive nicely by some battery play as well, but that doesn't last forever. Energy is not forever, although Super Battery should be back fairly soon, right? So across the map, Clem continues to defend, dropping scans against the DTs, although he will have to, maintain scans and get turrets up now to make sure that continues. MaxPax is, of course, sitting on 4 bases behind this, as Clem is as well. But just away from these disruptions, kind of stopped with that bottom portion of the army. And that's where MaxPax was able to get a little bit of a connection. Clem is still working with kind of the same army he's been going with for a while. He has not reinforced this position in a hot second, so to really do with a lot of these units coming across, but of course you're being held back by the harassment, so you've got to kind of keep units somewhat nearby to make sure that harass doesn't go overboard and doesn't become too much of a problem. So you've got to be on top of all of that. As a Sense Tower will go down on the right side base, we get that set up. Some more Disruptors in production right now, as you have +3 attack coming through. We clean up a location there as we may think about a 5th base on that point. Something to consider. MaxPax might expand there, and then Clem will have to find a way to deal with it. +1 armor currently halfway done. And like I say, Clem, for me, the upgrades have been a real killer because I feel like he's had many more moments in this game where I can't imagine this was anything but forgetting the upgrades. And so, if you forget the upgrades this entire time, I mean, obviously he's catching up on them now, but like he could already be 2-1, I think. And again, for me, that's the big difference, is he does dodge away from the disruptors. You're going to EMP forwards here. Vikings, a few of them just chasing the Colossi again. Again, great job by MaxPax. While the Colossi took a lot of damage on that previous fight to the south, he was able to keep them all alive. So while they took a lot of damage, they took a lot of hits off the Vikings. Clem tried multiple times to get them. You got to give credit to MaxPax there as well. As this bigger fight begins to break out, we are going to be seeing massive counterattack at the same time. MaxPax makes his way through to get 8 SCVs already. Now Clem gets some probes in return. He starts to deal with those units. Oh my goodness, he turns into the disruptor. It's a complete misplay. He believed he could kill it, so he turned into a complete mistake from Clem. He's going to lose all momentum on this other side, and he has to go run home. Liberators are sieging up, but that was just a lot of units that he lost out on that he never really needed to, and that is going to hurt big time as Clem is killing himself in this game. He opened up in a situation where you don't see Clem lose from. If that Hellion drop does that much damage, Clem wins games from there. That is just how these matches go. But he has, unfortunately, just not played this out well. He has made mistakes, and MaxPax is looking to push right now to potentially send himself to a 2-0 lead. Now, the supplies are pretty even. The single upgrade lead from MaxPax, the +3 attack not finished yet, as Clem needs to try and figure out a way to fight this. It's so difficult because a lot of Clem's supply is negated every single part of this fight because of the disruptor shots forcing you to split. Disruptor on the bottom side reinforcing. Clem does not get the lift up. His micro just isn't what it is usually. You know, he's trying to make plays, which I feel like usually he manages, but he's not making them work at all right now. As Clem gets overrun on the natural, the orbital command being shot down. Another disruptor shot coming through, but our units still coming in. And we are going to be seeing ship weapons +2 attack continuing through as well. More Marines, more Marauders coming up for the moment as our Stalkers blink across to the side. Sensor Tower will go down. Ghost will fall, Marine Marauder will drop. The red other disruptor coming through. I'm just going to be seeing more units continue to go down here as Clem is going to be in trouble. He killed himself. I will say it again. He really killed himself in this one. He just... yeah, he made a lot of mistakes. You can pinpoint multiple points. The upgrade. I mean, that disruptor he turned back into... I think he did a lot of things well, and the lead early definitely carried him through, but he made mistakes enough for MaxPax to get back into a game that should never be losable, I think, from Clem in top form, playing the right style. GG's, and it is going to be MaxPax at the 3 in the top left-hand side with a 2-0 advantage. Our blue Protoss player from Psystorm looking to make it a PvP in the top 4. It is going to be MaxPax, and that PvP would be because the winner of this series goes up against Hero in a best-of-5 to see who advances to the lower bracket finals. Bottom right corner of the map, our red Terran player representing Team Liquid. It is Clem. Alrighty, game 3. Get this underway. Clem. What does he do? To me, he's already done his comfort build in a way, which is to play the... yeah, I mean, what do you do? You've kind of played your comfort build, you got ahead with it, you lost the game from there. Clem needs to reset a little bit, definitely going into this one. He needs to find himself. Well, a way to play like Clem, you know, like, he plays very well usually. We know he does, he can absolutely beat MaxPax. It's always a tight series. I would say Clem's been doing great against MaxPax more recently, but yeah, this is a series that should absolutely be 1-1. Game 1, you can see where it went wrong. MaxPax's map pick as well. But game 2, Clem can only really hang that one on his shoulders. So again, you got to then not hang it on your shoulders. You got to get past that and not let it kind of impact your play here in game 2. You know, be confident. Look at the mistakes you made. Say, cool. Let's not mess around. Let's not forget that upgrade. You know, let's play my 100%. Level it up, and just try and think of this as a fresh series, game by game. Just think, hey, you know what? I'm gonna embarrass MaxPax today. I'm gonna 3-0 him. I'm gonna make the Protoss players whine, you know? Going with that sort of attitude, because anything less than this is gonna be falling apart for you. So, and you can't let the mental side of it get into your gameplay, right? Not at this level, not in these kind of matches. Reaper hits the pylon. The Adept will be here to try and turn Mr. Reaper away. As the Nexus comes through, the Adept is on the way. Twilight Council is starting. Obviously just going to shape on trying to find some info. We do see double Cyclone on the way from Clem, so going to use that to set himself up initially, so we'll be moving forwards with that very soon. Also, 2 Cyclones can absolutely do a good amount of harassing damage as well. That's just kind of keeping you fairly safe, so definitely expecting to see them in some regard on the other side of the map very shortly. Trying to find some amount of damage here as a couple of Cyclones continue through them. We continue to build those up. The Adept is there, the Reaper gets pushed back. And let's see the Robo facility coming through a little sooner this time with the blink than what we saw the previous blink opening. 2 more Cyclones again, so Clem absolutely going to have a bunch of those to try and get some damage with. Impact already beginning to come through. Reaper comes back out onto the low ground. We do have the Marines coming in, the Stimpak coming through. Again, barracks in the orbital building as well. Our Robo facility is coming up also on top of everything else. That gateway also in production. Our blink is over halfway completed. So just firing it up, looking for something. You see the Adept coming over, and the Reaper is going to be coming by. Just having ourselves a couple of Marines and Marauders on the way through as well. Stimpak is going to be accompanied soon by the Combat Shield. And again, we've had ourselves the initial Cyclone setup. Just kind of hanging back, not really doing much. 4 Cyclones. With Stim finishing, could we make something of a push across the map, perhaps? Fire gets there, the Prism will evacuate the Adept, and you do see the Stalker showing up to try and apply some further pressure as well. There's 3 gates, a little bit more pressure focus, and then the expansion, so it's not as committed as 4 gates. It's not as chill as it was earlier. I'm a little bit worried for MaxPax here. There is Stim available. Clem steps forward, starts to take this fight now. MaxPax blinks in. That's where Clem's going to turn, and these Marauders will get to do some damage, but so far, the Prism Micro has been spot on. The Cyclone's helping out in a big way. The units from the high ground come to the low ground because you know the blink was committed. He's not going to blink into the base. Thank you so much, Slotern, for the donation. Read that out a little bit. As we just have, obviously, MaxPax ready to dive up here. So in we go. A couple of SCVs maybe in trouble. Cyclone's going to hold back until the reinforcing bio can show up. Because we're all going to get a couple of Stalker kills. And the blink out comes in. Clem's defense pretty darn good here so far. He's playing a very clean opening, I would say. Well, again, extra gates coming through, that Dark Shrine coming up, the charge is on the way. Build into a little bit of everything there. Additional probes coming out as well. And a bio gathering up. And yeah, Engineering Bay building from Clem 2. might be finding an upgrade kind of important in this one. I'm actually going to load up a little marine drop, so as that goes to the other side, we'll keep our eyes on how that pans out. Because I'm still trying to come in and do have the DTs to be the next little bit of harassment here. They're going to start swiping and turrets have to go down. Clem does not have a scan available. That's it. No scan available and is not ready for the DTs at all. And we have ourselves GG called right then and there. That is going to do it. As MaxPax is going to 3-0 Clem in. Not quite the epic series that we wanted to see.